Chapter 3 begins with the story of Gilgamesh's rejecting the advances of the goddess of love, Ishtar, thus creating a conflict. She begs Gilgamesh to marry her and promises that he will receive good fortune and respect if he does so. The scene might be regarded as an early version of the story of Odysseus and the goddess Calypso, who tries to entice him. Gilgamesh rejects her offer and, by way of justification, recounts the miserable fates suffered by Ishtar's previous lovers. His rejection thus seems fully reasonable and understandable against this backdrop. But this infuriates the goddess, and she's bent on destroying him. She begs her father, the god Anu, to let loose the bull of heaven to wreak havoc on Gilgamesh and his people. This chapter gives some good examples of the nature of the Mesopotamian gods. The gods in any culture can be conceived as a mirror image of the people that creates and worships them. They're a good measure of the nature of that people and its civilization. What do these gods tell us about the ancient Mesopotamians? The gods strike us as childish and petty. There's nothing sublime or august about them. Violent and vindictive, they're victims to human emotions such as lust and anger and so forth. Moreover, like the Greek gods, their power is limited. Since each of the gods represents a specific natural force or sphere of activity, they're powerful in only one aspect. Thus, when they want to have some effect on something outside that aspect, they must negotiate it with the other gods. This means that, again, as in Greek mythology, the gods end up on different sides of certain fights, since individual heroes are supported by specific gods. Thus, Gilgamesh is aided by the sun god Shamash, just as Achilles is aided by Athena. The Mesopotamian gods therefore have councils to decide important issues, since none of them is so powerful that he can decide things unilaterally. But it will be noted that the Mesopotamian gods, like those portrayed in the Homeric poems, play a role in most everything that the humans do. They're either directly involved when help is needed or act of their own accord when their own interests are at stake. Their world is intimately interconnected to the human world. Indeed, they have no real sphere of their own apart from the human sphere. When the gods get together and have the councils, they're always discussing something that's relevant for human affairs. There seems to be no divine business that needs to be attended to. It should also be noted that while the gods are ostensibly immortal, in that there's no physical decay of their bodies, they can in fact be killed by violence. Moreover, like the Greek gods at Troy, they can be wounded in violent action. In any case, Anu agrees to go along with Ishtar's request, and he releases the bull of heaven, which proceeds to cause 3 deadly earthquakes. Gilgamesh and Enkidu then attack the bull and manage to kill it. This infuriates Ishtar even more. Enkidu further insults her, throwing the thigh of the dead bull in her face. Gilgamesh revels in the victory to the point of arrogance. This causes a reaction from the gods. That very night, Enkidu has a dream which is taken to be a straightforward representation of reality. In the dream, the gods have a council, and Anu says, quote, "Because they have killed the bull of heaven, and because they have killed Humbaba, who guarded the cedar mountain, one of the two must die," end quote. Shamash protests, but Enlil overrules him. Enkidu thus falls ill and knows that he has only a short time left to live. He initially reacts angrily and curses everyone and everything, regretting that he ever left his home in the wild. Eventually, he's comforted by Shamash. As he lies ill, Enkidu has another dream in which he sees the underworld. This foreshadows Gilgamesh's journey in the next chapter. Gilgamesh laments that he is not immortal, but this is not strictly speaking true. There is an afterlife, but like the Greek one, it's gloomy and miserable. Enkidu describes it as a place where, quote, people sit in darkness. He sees kings and princes who were once great now languishing in this place of despair. He also sees Ereshkigal, the queen of the underworld, and her record keeper, Belit Sheri. These two correspond to Osiris and Thoth in the Egyptian mythology. In the end, Enkidu dies and Gilgamesh laments his death intensely. This motivates the action for the next chapter.